Hey everyone, John here in his human form, and welcome to another Game Explain News Roundup. This time we're talking about Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3 coming to the Switch in English, Town not being Game Freak's priority, NES and Super Nintendo games no longer being added monthly, and also more hearts in the Link's Awakening remake. So, let's dive in. So the last Nintendo Direct was packed with new announcements, and while we were watching the Western version, Steve was watching the Japanese version, and all of a sudden he yelled out, Guys, Dragon Quest 1, 2 and 3 are coming to Switch! And we were like, whoa, this hasn't happened in our version yet! So we eagerly awaited, and waited, and waited, but that never came in the English version of the Direct. Well, thanks to a Facebook post from Square Enix Asia, we now know the following. For Asia, the first 3 Dragon Quest games are coming to Nintendo Switch in one package. Dragon Quest II Luminaries of the Legendary Line, and Dragon Quest III The Seeds of Salvation. Release date coming in 2019, languages traditional Chinese, Korean, and the big one, English. So while this isn't confirmed for the West yet, we at least know that the Japanese version, or at least the Korean or Asian version, will feature English as an option. So even if this doesn't come to the West, you can at the very least go on the Japanese store, download that version and play it in English. Which is absolutely great because right now the best way to play these games is on mobile. And while this isn't like a bad platform to play games on, I'd much rather have, my nice big Switch display and play it on the TV, rather than just like a landscape template like this. So if you haven't played the original Dragon Quest trilogy, much like myself, this is the perfect time to do so. And I gotta say, the Switch is becoming a Dragon Quest machine. Got Builders 1, Builders 2, 11S, Heroes and Smash, and now the first 3 games in the series. Bring them all, bring all of them to Switch. Now if I had to wager, I'd say it probably is coming to the West, otherwise why would there be an English option in there? But maybe not straight away, maybe next year. But either way, it seems we can just buy this version and play it in English. Anyway, on to the next thing. Alright, so this one's going to be very hard for us all to adjust to because we're all just so damn familiar with the NES Online Schedule. I check them every month. But anyway, Books.net has revealed that NES and Super Nintendo games will no longer be adhering to the monthly release schedule. They even verified this for Nintendo, who said the following. More games will be added after launch, but those releases will not adhere to a regular schedule. So basically, NES and Super Nintendo games can release at any moment. Doesn't necessarily mean they'll be more regular or less regular. They may still even be monthly, just not to a rigid schedule. So I guess we'll see rather soon just how often they release. But in my opinion, this is kind of a good thing. When you're releasing them to a very rigid schedule, I guess you only really check the service on that day of the month. Whereas now, users are going to be checking all the time to make sure there are new games or not. Though of course, we'll let you know when there are new games, you can depend on us. But yeah, I don't mind this. The formula wasn't too great to begin with, and I guess they're now juggling both NES and Super Nintendo, and they're probably running out of some flagship NES games at this point. Wait, is Urban Champion on there yet? I think it might be. If not, they're slacking. I guess we'll see the result of this fairly soon. It's neither really a bad thing or a good thing right now. It could mean there's going to be less games, it could mean there's going to be more games. We really don't know just yet. But anyway, on to the next news topic. So I'm sure you all know Toby Fox. Let's get a picture of him right here. There he is. Looking good, Toby. So of course, Toby is the creator of Undertale, and he's also composing Little Town Hero by Game Freak. And he said something rather interesting about this game. Before we dive straight into this though, Toby has been a very, very lucky man. He hung out with Masahiro Sakurai himself. Here's what he said. I wrote more beforehand, but I'm so shocked that Sakurai-san talked about our meeting. If he's going to mention me, then I have to tell everyone that we listened to a CD of Smash music as he drove me home in his car, which I kept calling the Batmobile. I didn't have a translator with me, so I had to use my own broken Japanese to talk about Smash. It was one of the most surreal and fun experiences of my life. I'll never forget it. Incredibly wholesome, but of course that's not the only Toby news today, so let's dive into Town. Let me read it out. Though it was a very small team, I felt a lot of passion from the people working on it. I'm looking forward to finally trying the game myself and seeing how it turned out. So, this on its own may not sound all too interesting, but there was a statement going around saying that Game Freak were prioritising smaller games over Pokémon. And going by what Toby said, this doesn't appear to be true. Little Town Hero is being made by a very small team, so I've got to wonder if the context of this statement perhaps wasn't interpreted properly. Of course, the smaller games are very important to Game Freak because it prevents burnout, and maybe that's what they meant by prioritising. But of course, it does seem Pokémon Sword and Shield is their main project. It's not like they're focusing more on other games and focusing less on Pokémon, because of course the staff on Little Town Hero is rather small. as you can probably tell by the game, it all takes place in just one area. This is a small scale game. So I just thought this was interesting, and I guess it kind of debunks a lot of the conversation going around about how Game Freak is prioritising these smaller games over Pokémon. That doesn't seem to be the case. Anyway, that's just a nice short one. On to the final thing of today. Yesterday we were tweeted by a very kind fella called Pro Nerdy, and here's what he had to say. If you look at the Link's Awakening footage in the September Direct, it shows Link with 12 hearts, with the most being 20. There were only 16 hearts in the original Link's Awakening. Are there new hearts and Koholint? So this is something I completely missed, and it is kind of interesting. Will Koholint have more heart pieces scattered around, or perhaps more heart pieces are found in the Dampé dungeons? After all, we can get bottles and also these seashells from Dampé, so it wouldn't be all that surprising. But then there's the other thing, what if it pulls a Breath of the Wild and just doesn't complete your heart meter? What if there are still 16 hearts, but it just looks like this the entire time? I hope they don't do that, but maybe they will. And of course in Breath of the Wild you can fill it out, but at the expense of other things. But yeah, Link's Awakening Remake does add empty bottles, so more heart pieces wouldn't be out of the question. Good spot. Anyway, that is all for today. Did any of these news topics resonate with you, and what do you think about them? Let us know down below, and of course be sure to subscribe to Game Explain for a lot more on news updates and other things gaming too. Until next time, bye!